Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's board meeting, the business meeting, the Grosse Township Board of Trustees for the 23rd of April. We'll call the meeting to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order at 7:34, and we'll begin with additions or deletions to tonight's agenda. I think we have at least one. My addition. Sorry. And
I have one.
I'll let you take yours first, Jim, because I've been focusing on too many of the wrong things. Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to remove action item number 7 from the agenda. History needs more in-depth discussion amongst the board.
That's the motion. Discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Ted.
This agenda was published and the board packet was published on Friday. There was more than adequate time to talk to the people here, to Ann, to Dale, or any board member. I think it's time we manned up and started voting for this stuff instead of trying to put it away. It's our duty, it's our job, and I would not support setting this back. It'll start costing township money when we start putting it back. For any revenue that we would gain, we're going to lose by the delay, so I would much rather see it on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Other comments from the board?
Yeah, Mr.
Budney?
Supervisor. Yeah, that's the whole point. There was nothing in our packet to give us any backup on what's going on this issue as to the payment, and I think the board deserves the information as to how this whole thing came about and how the dollar amount was arrived at, and all I thought we were asking for, but evidently the other end of the table isn't anymore, that we have that discussion and understand whether we are or we aren't, because somebody, whether it's Tom or Ted or Jim, that says, hey, we're going to save money, doesn't tell me a damn thing. I need information, and I don't know why we can't get information. You just want us to vote on things blindly, and I'm tired of it.
Okay,
That's why I'd like this taken off so we can discuss it and know what's going on.
I'm going to request, we'll leave that open. I'm going to request a short recess so I can run some numbers by the board.
No, that's inappropriate.
I'm going to request...
That is totally inappropriate to give us 30
Mr. Malvesto,
seconds
you are out of order. I have requested a short recess. Mr. Budney has requested documents and data. I have the documents and data.
There needs to be a vote.
That's why I'm requesting a short recess. It'll be by a board vote. So I'm going to request a short recess, so I can cover the numbers. It'll get us hopefully all up to speed, and we can do the job we're supposed to be doing.
Those numbers are not a matter of this. They're not a part of this packet that we were given on Friday. They have no place in this meeting tonight.
Mr. Malvesto, you are yet again out of order. I'm requesting a short recess. That's the request the supervisor and moderator has on the table. Those in favor of a short recess, Mr. Blatcher.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. O'Connor.
Aye.
Supervisor, aye. Mr. Treasurer.
Aye.
Trustee Budney.
Aye.
Mr. Malvesto.
Absolutely not.
All right, we can...
Can I just make a point of order?
Madam Clerk.
Trustee Malvesto, the packet is a guideline. We've had this conversation before.
Please. I've heard this before.
Mr. Malvesto, Mrs. O'Connor has the floor.
At a public meeting, given that everybody shares information, we are not dependent on what is or is not included in the packet, because new information can always come to light either from a member of the public or from a board member. So we've talked about the phrasing of motions, we've talked about what's contained in your packet. What is available for the board to discuss in a public is whatever the board wishes to discuss in front of the public, not what is included in any packet or not included.
That's purely anecdotal. Nothing has been brought forward to us. None of this stuff can be documented. Nobody will have the ability to go through it, to review it, to ask questions.
Okay, we have a motion, and it's been approved by a majority vote that we're going to go into a short recess. Those who want to see the documentation, gather around. If you're not interested, don't bother.
I believe we have a motion and a second on the
Okay,
floor.
let me call the meeting back to order. I think this is, yeah. Call the meeting back to order. We have a motion on the table after some internal discussion regarding removing action item 7 from tonight's agenda. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Supervisor, for the reasons that I've discussed with yourself and in the recent discussion, I'm not going to make those public, but I want you to know where I'm coming from when I vote, what my concern is. It is a technical concern, and that's where I'm coming from.
Hopefully I thought we had that resolved, but okay, your position is so stated. Other,
Do your thing.
What does that mean? What kind of a vote is that?
okay, I'm going to do this on a roll call vote. Mr. Bletcher.
I support the motion to withdraw.
Mr. Nelson.
I don't support the motion to withdraw.
Madam Clerk.
I do not support the motion to withdraw.
Supervisor Nay. Mr. Treasurer.
Hey,
Mr. Budney.
I support.
And Mr. Malvesto.
I support.
Okay, I'm showing a 4-3 vote that the item stays on the agenda for further discussion, and a second vote. With that behind us, let's move on. I'm going to request that we add to the consent agenda consent agenda item number 4.
Support.
I'm sorry, it was not. It was consent agenda item. Yeah, it'll be consent agenda item 4. But thank you for the support.
Sorry.
And it's to approve the revised Downriver Community Conference dues structure. And if you haven't read it, the background is the Downriver Community Conference, for the first time in 40 years, had to raise its structure. We studied at the board meeting, at the board of directors for the DCC, a fair means of allocating the funds, and we went with a combined membership and population basis. Our supplemental appropriation would be $1,838, and that won't be due until the 1st of October. Under the assumption that will be probably offset by reduction in our DMA dues, because we have so many. We may even get more money back out of it, but our DMA dues are going to more than offset this increase. So it may be revenue neutral, but I'd like to add that to tonight's consent agenda. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bundy. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. That will be added.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Budney.
I believe there's one more item that needs to be added. There's 5 items for the consent agenda, and we don't have the 5th shown on here or even shown as an addition.
Would you like me to make the motion?
No, I'll make the motion. I'm just saying we need to add it.
I am preparing to make the motion to add to the consent
Well, then
agenda.
I just jumped
Item
ahead.
number
I apologize, Ms. O'Connor.
Madam Clerk.
As the clerk who prepared the minutes of the closed meeting, I am making a motion to include as consent agenda item number 5, the approval of the closed session minutes.
Support.
Moved by Clerk O'Connor, seconded by Trustee Budney, to add the minutes from the closed session at our previous board meeting.
Right.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. That will be added. So we'll have consent agenda 4, which will be the dues adjustment, and consent agenda 5, the closed session. Any other additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? None offered. Those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Very good. The agenda stands as amended. With that, we'll move on to tonight's presentation, hopefully in a more uplifting mode. I'll introduce Ms. Angela Secocas, our DDA Director.
Good evening. Is this on? Good evening, everyone.
You can lift that, raise it.
Find the little shiny toggle.
That's good. That's tall. I'm tall, but I'm not that tall.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for having me this evening. I'm hopefully just going to shed a little bit of light on a small project that the DDA has been working on. So just as a reminder, the DDA set the mission about a year and a half ago. We established that our mission is to grow, strengthen, and promote the economic health and vitality of our downtown business district on Macomb Street, while generating a greater connection with our residents and island guests. That entails a lot of things. Some of the events that you've seen, some of the infrastructure improvements that we're trying to do, some of the maintenance, trying to support and advocate on behalf of new businesses and current businesses offering the grant program. We've tried to do a lot of things. Sometimes I'm confused for being just an event planner. We do a lot more than that. The board works really hard, and we have a lot of good energy. And one of the things that we're trying to do is gain some perspective on what the expectation is from Macomb Street and from the residents and from our island guests. So one of the projects that we've been working on is a survey. This is just some of the background. We will be sending out a direct mail piece to all Groseal residences in May. So all households will receive a direct mail piece, and on the direct mail piece will be a call to action to complete the survey within a time frame of about 2 weeks. We will establish that once they hit the households. The cost and effort were made possible through a partnership with Public Service Credit Union, the DDA. We work together, and we have a combined budget to work on this project. The general results will be collected, tabulated, and available at the survey end, and I hope to share those with the Township Board, and we will certainly share those with the businesses and with the DDA Board. And all personal information that is provided in the survey will not be used for marketing purposes. We do put that on the direct mail piece, and we put that in the survey on the survey link. The goal of the Groseal Resident Survey is to, number one, identify opportunities in the business district. Number two, to understand the pulse of the residents as it relates to doing business. And number three, to set clear objectives and celebrate achievements moving forward. So our hope is really to get some information both specifically and broadly. We have some opportunities in the survey to add comments and thoughts as needed in some of the questions. It's a quick 5-minute survey. How will the survey work? Residents will be directed to a URL specific to the survey. It's just, keep it simple, www.surveyforcoffee.com. In the beginning, they will provide their name and their email address, and then from there, they'll be led into the survey, complete the survey questions, and then at the end of the survey, when they hit submit, a link will be sent to their email address offering them a $5 gift certificate to Starbucks as reward for completing the survey. I don't know how often you've worked in direct mail pieces or in marketing or in surveys, but the return is not always great. So we're putting that carrot out there that's quite common to do these days, putting the carrot out there so people are motivated to complete the survey so we get some good information. And this is what the direct mail piece will look like. We are in the final stages. It's not yet printed, but it's going to print very soon. And like I said, it's going to drop in mailboxes in May. I wanted to make sure that I got in front of all of you and in front of any residents that are watching so that we understand when this comes, what it looks like. We tried to emphasize the At Home on Macomb piece so everybody knows that this is the Downtown Development Authority that's asking these questions, and hopefully they'll be a little more inclined to answer them and be helpful with the information. Just on the front, it says Groseal residents receive a free $5 Starbucks gift certificate. Note it's while supplies last and limit one per person, and just asking them to fill out the short 5-minute survey. And then on the back side, if they would like, they can scan the back with their phone, and that will lead them directly into the link for the survey as well. We are having 5,500 printed of these. There's not 5,500 residences, so we're hoping to have some of those that we can place in the businesses on Macomb Street. Just some people get their mail, don't get to it right away. It goes straight into the recyclable bin. That way we can remind people and really hope to get some good feedback on the survey. And that's really all that I have. Are there any questions with regard to it? I hope to bring some more information at the end of it as well.
Do you have any threshold of how many you have to get back to, or are you just looking for, I mean, if 2 people send it back. Is that good enough? I mean, you'll take their ideas and run with it, or what?
I mean, we will take the ideas and run with it, but hopefully we get back more than 2. Typically on a direct mail piece.
I mean, a small amount.
Sure.
So you don't have any threshold that, like, if one guy asks for, whatever on Macomb, to run out and build something because one guy asks. I mean, I've seen us do this before. I'm hoping that's not the way this is going.
That's not the way we're looking at it. We hope to get some information that's statistically significant. I mean, with surveys, it's kind of a shot in the dark sometimes because you don't know the information. So we really have some questions that are very specific and some questions that are generalized, some that are geared toward the event, some that are geared toward types of businesses that they would like to see. On a direct mail piece, you typically get about 2 to 4%. A really good direct mail piece, you get about 4.5% return. So if we're looking at sending out like 4,400. So, the response is less than 1,000, really. And that's kind of what we're looking at is less than 1,000. On a survey, an online survey, generalized like this, you're lucky to get about 20%. I mean, 20% would be wonderful, but I think we're probably looking more like 10% on an online survey. But 10% of the population is pretty good, I think. So it's more information than what we have right now. Some of it's kind of asking for some census type data too that we don't have. We won't have any updated census data for a couple of years because it's every 10 years. So that will help to gauge kind of what we're looking for. So, anything else? Any other questions?
I was going to wait and call you up later, but since you're here, what do we have going on with you, the ribbon cutting we had the other day?
Sure.
Which is just, Phil, like I said, I was going to have you come up later as part of the update, but since you're already here, and what's been going on Macomb Street?
I think we had
the next ladies' night.
We had so far the next ladies' night is in November, but we had a great turnout. We had Ume's ribbon cutting midweek on Wednesday afternoon, and this time we got involved with the chamber, and so there were a ton of chamber members. We had a lot of residents that showed up. We had DDA board members. We had Township board members. We had some Township staff that made their way over there. A great turnout, and we had the ribbon cutting. And I think I invited 5 media outlets, and we had 6 show up, which was really, really nice. So hopefully we'll see a lot of that in the News Herald, the Trenton Trib or Island Beacon, Groseal Grand. The Profile was there. We had some other independent photographers who will get it out there. So that was a really successful ribbon cutting in my mind. And we have some other things going on Macomb. Hopefully in May and June, we have the Tasty Freeze that's under construction and hoping to open up in mid-June. Public Service Credit Union will be moving into the old Bank of America building. So we have some good things going on. So hopefully that will take what happened last week with Ume and kind of bring that in to these other businesses, those same ideas and the same process. So good stuff, yeah.
Well, I guess I want to riff off of Trustee Budney's question. I think what you're looking for is not ideas from the public to make a project and run with it. It sounds to me more like what the businesses are looking for is input from the residents of what are some things that would draw them to the Macomb Business District as opposed to going somewhere else for their marketing needs or,
yes,
products that they need.
Yes, and a couple of the questions are geared toward convenience, value, trust, proximity. Kind of what would lead a customer to do business on the island as opposed to going off the island. Absolutely.
Angela, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That ribbon cutting was a lot of fun, and the food was really good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our presentation. At this time, I'll open up to public comment on tonight's agenda items. There's a big screen in the way. I can't see if there's any hands going up, but a hand is going up. Okay, since I don't know if you've spoken before, so I'll have you introduce yourself and your address, name and address. And
hello, my name is Amy Oraha. I live at 8420 Ferry Road. Been a resident of Groseal for 5.5 years now. I have a disability. I suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, depression, and affect disturbance. I've been under care of a doctor for the disability since 2006. I recently acquired a service animal in the form of a miniature horse who lives on my property. His job specifically is to help my psychiatric and neurological disability by preventing and interrupting any impulsive or destructive behaviors that I may have. I'm here to ask for amendments to the ordinance pertaining to service animals, specifically miniature horses. The ordinance covering animals as well as horses was written in 1980, and since then the Americans with Disabilities Act as well as the Fair Housing Act has been implemented. Amendments to these acts have also been updated for protection of people with disabilities and their service animals. I'm asking for consideration from the board to amend these ordinances applying to animals as well as the miniature horses under these acts.
Okay, normally, this would not be, this is reserved for agenda items. That's not on tonight's agenda. So normally, I would ask you to make that at the end of tonight's meeting. But since you're up there, since you had our interest, it's in our best interest to let you finish. So you would like to see an amendment to our animal husbandry ordinances for your mini horse.
That's correct. Like I said, the ordinance was written in I understand there's a projector if anybody would like to.
I want to keep them, but we'll get that out to the board.
Ordinance written in 1980. Since then, the Disability Act was written in 1990 and has been amended as well. Since then, like I said, miniature horses are classified the same as service dogs.
Well, I think we certainly would look at it.
Yeah,
I don't see any problem with us looking at it.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, what I would like to say is, as liaison to the Planning Commission as well, I think you came to the right place to draw our attention to an issue that is important to you and probably other members of the community. And so I don't think I'm out of place in saying that we should take this to the Planning Commission and as a request that we start looking at this and work toward making amendments if they're possible. And we might invite you to come speak to the Planning Commission as they progress and do their research. So I personally, timing for the question may not have been.
Sorry, I heard public comment.
That's all right.
No, I just want to say I'm just glad that you came.
Yes,
and I'm glad that you brought it up to us so that now we can take it the next step.
Okay, and Chief, you had some.
Excuse me one second. She came to me, and what I explained to her is if she should make this packet together. And I don't want to speak. I know Tom is not here today, and I just so you know maybe where it's at the township level. I told her make a packet up, get all her information that she has, and any, if you want to call it, ammunition or any defenses that she may believe that would go in her favor, and present that to. And I'm not sure, Lorinda, if it was dropped off with you but it got to Tom because the zoning was handling it. Tony Gray was handling it, who apparently is right here. Sorry, Tony, I'm not used to you being here. All right. I apologize. But anyway, I had her do that and got a phone call from Tom Asori to our detectives, and Tom explained that he didn't believe that she did have a right to appeal this to one of the township forums or entities, which would be either the zoning, planning, or whatever. So I'm just letting you know in case you need to just talk to Tom. It might save you some time in what she's doing and maybe where this should go, and maybe she could have her forum or however she wants to debate it. I just want to let you know where it is in the process. That may help you out in timing and help her out too.
Chief, did you say she did, or Mr. Sorty said she did, or she did not? I didn't hear that clearly.
I'm sorry. Mr. Sorty called our detectives, and what we were doing, we were working with her and to see if we could straighten this out or resolve this somehow before a citation was issued, because we did have a complaint on it.
Yeah,
so,
I don't want to. I'm not trying to throw up a roadblock. I didn't hear your.
He did say that he did not believe that she had the right to go before one of these commissions or committees
to appeal it.
Appeal.
Yeah, but certainly for us to look at the ordinance, I don't see any problem with that.
I would say it's a two-pronged approach. You have a personal situation that we cannot rectify for you, but you have a broader issue. You want the township board, you want the planning commission to look at the ordinance overall, which affects not just you, but other residents as well, and that is well within your, it was the right thing to do. So we will try to fix the situation with you on both levels. We'll work with the attorney and let him do what he needs to do, but you've brought the bigger issue to the board.
The amendment.
That's the reason that I brought this up for what Tom said, that she has really a double issue here.
Yes.
One is with Tom, but then the other issue is for her right to go before something to make a change. So I wanted to let you know what Tom said, so it might save you some time so she can get to the correct place. And
Originally, we were, I was asking for a variance for my situation, and I was denied by the prosecutor for that. And
the variances are dependent on actually the property, not your...
Right, that possibly was not...
But again, she didn't mention seeking a remedy to an infraction. She brought to us the fact that we should review the ordinance. And
I understand. I just wanted to let you know...
We all seem like we are interested...
What occurred, that's all. And that way she can get to the right place now and then set her case and explain what she has. And just so, I just wanted to inform you of it,
thanks,
just
Chief.
so you know it.
And now you don't have to stay till the end of the meeting to present your position.
Because I'm certain, too, you aren't the only resident on the island with service animal topics that need to be addressed. And that's a new territory anyway.
Yes.
And so I think it's very timely that we look at this on the ordinance level. But as the chief said, the other level, then the attorney will work with you.
Amy, it is Amy, right?
Yes, thank you.
Because I don't believe any of us sitting up here are clear on this. Is there language, either federal, state, local, that defines a service animal?
Yes, actually, I have this all here.
That's fine. Because for myself, I have no idea, and I want to be clear.
It's an area that has...
It's a new area that has...
We don't have it.
Yes, that has come into play with, protecting people with disabilities.
I don't want to throw a roadblock up
to
you. I want a clear understanding of what you're...
Of course.
What you're going to accomplish, and is there a definition?
There definitely is a definition of service animals. The definition of service animals stated by the Americans with Disability Act is any dog, or in this case a miniature horse, that is individually trained to work or perform tasks for the benefit of an individual with a disability, including a physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, or other mental disability. It does go on to list what these animals can do, whether they're blind or deaf.
Is that? Can you
Holding a
leave
wheelchair,
that documentation with Mr. Friel so he can get to all the board? I think we know where we stand on this.
I do also have a copy of the Fair Housing Act.
Whatever resources you can leave for us would be appreciated.
That way we don't have to research it.
Actually, I can just...
And then we will be able to address this in much more depth at another level. So
I do also have a letter from my caring neurologist, doctor.
But this is public comment, so
That's not necessary.
we don't want to rake you through the coals here either. So
You'll just have to do it again.
And Amy,
Yes.
can you also leave your name and number
Absolutely.
with Brian, so if we want to get a hold of you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
One more question.
Sure.
I'm sure the ordinance doesn't a horse is a horse, but you're talking about a miniature horse. Are we talking about a miniature horse or a pony? I don't know.
I did bring a few pictures of the horses. They are 34 inches at max. They stand 2 feet at their shoulders. They weigh approximately 1 to 200 pounds.
I was curious for my own benefit. So,
Okay.
thank you.
If you have any other questions, please.
Okay. Amy, thank you.
you very much.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be talking more.
Thank you.
Other comments on tonight's agenda items? Okay, with none offered, let's move on to tonight's consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you. Excuse me. Looking for approval for consent agenda 18-013, which includes the minutes of the April 9th, 2018 regular meeting, the check register dated through April 16th, 2018, Fire Commission appointment, approval of the ACC structure change, and approval of the minutes for the closed session for the last meeting. What was the date on that?
April 9th.
Oh, April 9th.
April 9th.
April 9th.
April 9th. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moved by Treasurer, seconded by Trustee Budney. The consent agenda 18-013. Those in favor of approving as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered? That is therefore approved. Let's move on to tonight's action items. Mr. Budney, you're going to busy. Miss Bennett.
No, actually, I'm going to.
Lorinda's going to have.
Yeah, but Lorinda's going to have a busy night.
Mr. Supervisor, you seem to have missed item number 3 on the consent agenda, the appointment of a new fire commission.
No.
Member to the
No,
fire.
he said
Did
it.
you?
He said it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yep. No, he covered them all.
Right?
It's approved.
Yep. I'd like to bring a motion before the board to accept the contract for sanitary sewer pipes, a sewer pipe cleaning, televising, and inspection program in the amount of $861,046.45 as submitted by Safeway Transport, and that a contract be awarded in the bid amount of $161,649.18 for Section 1 of the pending Township. Wait a minute. For Section 1 of our program for inspection. Work will be limited to a budgeted amount of $150,000.
Or
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
I'm going to give a quick, and then I'll let you fill in the detail. But basically, with our permit, we are now required to do a televising of our sewers. The DPS commission went over. We were looking into purchasing our own equipment, but that also would require us to hire people. We decided to go back to just contracting it out. We've had in our budget for a number of years $150,000, and basically that's what we're gonna stay with. We're gonna do $150,000 worth of work each year and stop there. And so that's a quick overview. Lorinda, fill in.
That about summarizes
say
it. Now, at the last DPS meeting, they decided to go with the second lowest bidder, which was Safeway Transport. And they based that decision on following the guidelines outlined in Section 4.8 of our expenditure control, letter A of the Groseal Township Administrative Policies and Procedures, which I have attached for you all to read. But basically, they said that Safeway Transport is a local company based in Romulus. They have an established working relationship with the township on the system. Recently, they did help us out on a sewer problem that we had over on Thoroughfare, an emergency call-out. They also have 3 certified operators on staff. Their equipment's going to be stored here, and the owner, Ken Tatar, is also a local island business owner. So the commission felt that they would go with this person. The overall contract is for all 5 years is still within. It was about 3% difference based on the 5-year bid overall. So the commission felt that they would better service us.
That's a very good point. It isn't the lowest bid, but having done business with this company before, and not on really a contract basis, on an as needed basis.
Correct.
They've been very good. The fact that they are on the island, also the fact that their equipment will be right here most of the time.
Right.
So that was some of the reasons we went with them.
Madam Clerk.
Madam Director, I'm so happy to be able to say that.
Thank you.
Two things. One, just to clarify, in case not everybody understood, that you are not obligated, we are not obligated to take the lowest bid, that as a board we have the opportunity to take what we judge or what our commissions judge to be the lowest and best bid.
Correct.
So the fact that the commission reviewed this and took the time to make these considerations, I think is very important and is totally valid. So I'm hoping there will be no complaints. My second point, though, is I am a bit confused by the motion language because it's asking us to approve the contract in the amount of $161,000, and yet the work will be limited to the budgeted amount of $150,000. So how are we going to make that reconciliation? Are we paying $150,000 or are we paying $161,000?
We're limited to $150,000, the budgeted amount.
And they are the contractor
they are aware of it.
is fully aware of that. They understand that it's a 5-year deal. It's a year by year. We'll be coming back next year for segment 2. Whatever that dollar amount is, it'll be something like $160,000 limited to the $150,000.
Okay, so our attorney's not here to answer the question in that sense, but can the contractor come back to us and say, but your motion approved $161,000?
That's why I have in there pending township attorney approval, because we didn't know which way the contract would be approved. So whatever you decide tonight will be part of that contract, and I will have him.
So do we need to then maybe, no? Dale is raising his hand?
Yeah.
The engineering language, we use the standard engineering contract language. We have the right to increase or decrease the amount of the contract 50%. So we're within that framework easily.
Yeah, and we will be in all 5 segments of it. It's real close, and so we can
In the motion, so.
I just have another point of clarification. I think we agreed to the large number of this contract, it being 800,000 plus, simply to meet the intent of the state and federal
Correct.
requirements. Is that correct?
That is correct, Ted.
So even though we know we're not going to get there, we've committed the amount of money for the 5 years that the state requires us to do for our asset management portion of it, and that is part of our ACO, right?
Correct.
And it's important to know that because these are all factors. I'm not real comfortable in agreeing to a 5-year contract for $800,000 when we don't even know how we're going to get there. But we need to do that because we have to obligate ourselves so that we meet the ACO requirements, because we're trying to get some major changes in that ACO.
Yeah, well, and not only the ACO, but also to have for our federal permit. So it's both federal and state that we're stuck with this type of thing.
That's why it comes out very confusing. It was confusing to me when I heard it, but I do understand why we're doing it.
Well, I see the bottom line is we're gonna spend $150,000 out of that budget if we approve this motion, and it's not like it's optional. We have to do this.
Right.
So we have a budgeted amount and we have mandated action.
And I think we all understand that, but I wanted to make sure that when this comes out again, too, as a motion in the paper or whatever, that people understand what our intent is.
I'm sure Mr. Sordi will tear his hair out on this one.
Other comments from the board on this contract approval? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the contract for sanitary sewer pipes cleaning, televising, and inspection program in the overall amount of $861,046.45 as submitted by Safeway Transport, that a contract be awarded in the bid amount of $161,649.18 for Section 1, pending Township Attorney approval. But work will be limited to the budgeted amount of $150,000. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered?
And I would just like to say, Lorinda, you provided us a lot of valuable information in the packet.
Thank you.
And that was much appreciated.
Let's move on to Mr. Budney. Action item number 2, please.
Miss Lorinda. Motion to amend the contract for municipal and residential solid waste collection and disposal, recycling and composting program between the Township of Groseal and Waste Management of Michigan, Inc., to include a statement to work for, the wording here is a little, to include a statement of work for biological sludge dewatering equipment and labor based upon the recommendation of the DPS Commission.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Buddy, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. This is actually a lot better than it sounds.
A lot better, and all this is really our sludge hauling is
Correct.
what it is to compact it down.
Correct.
It's our sludge hauling, and what we ran into this past year, I believe, and our sludge hauling, I think we had somewhere between 30 and 40,000. We ended up spending 75,000 because of the bridge. We had to, instead of the normal truck that would take it over, we had to contract small trucks, have them go across the bridge, fill up the big truck. It was a mess. So we because of the bridge and the weight problems with it, we went out. Lorinda, in fact, did a lot of traveling to look for other ways cheaper to do this and to still stay within the confines of being able to use the bridge at its current weight. What we came up with is this. Lorinda actually saw this process in motion, and I will now turn it over to you to explain
Thank you.
what it is.
Yeah, Joe Keefe, the prior operator at the wastewater treatment plant, and we went up to the Pontiac facility. I had received some of this information. I thought, this might be a good idea, because I was looking at other ways of getting off the island. I had previously contacted Kirk Corneffel, and those costs were astronomical. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way. So when this came across, we decided to take the day to go up there to take a look at it, and it's really kind of a neat process. It's they had a contaminated site, and they needed to dewater it, and so this centrifuge system is where they pass all this product through it, and it pulls all the water out. And basically what happens at the end of it is that it comes out like a cake-like material. It's really fluffy, because I was watching the semis back up, and I was noticing, why aren't they backing up all the way, into this big pile? And the operator in the field said that's because it's so light, the truck would sink in the middle of it. So I said, so it's basically just like fluff is what I called it, black fluff. So he said, yeah, and he says it's easier to transport over to the landfill. They have a test called it passes a paint test, paint filter test. And so we've had it tested. It will pass. Ryan had all the tests done that they required. They'll be able to take it directly to their landfill. So at least we'll be able to get it off at a reasonable, less cost. I budgeted $76,000. It all depends on the number of gallons that we process, and also the number of times we have to do it in 1 year. The reason for the contract is I need to secure our position, our time slot. And spring is coming, and more rains are going to be coming, and I just want to make sure that we have ample time for them to stage it there and get this off the island. So,
Mr. Treasurer.
If by any remote chance the weight restrictions are lifted off the bridge, this will go away.
Good question. I had Tom review the contract, and he didn't bring that up.
it might be something you might want to look at because, they're going to be doing some maintenance on the bridge. And I don't know what they're going to do on the bridge.
know.
And please don't say it's going to get all better because
Yeah.
I doubt that very much. But there is a possibility that they might say, we put new structures on, we can now lift the weight limits.
Yeah, as it
and
stands-
it's going to be a lot cheaper going with the
Right.
transport than it would be
Oh,
doing
sure,
this.
sure. It'd be back down to where it was
I
before.
think you should probably, I just thought of it myself
Okay.
when I heard that they were going to do something with the bridge.
Yeah, we're real close to, once this contract's signed, it takes them 2 weeks to actually mobilize. So we're looking at the beginning of May to get this done.
Okay, all right.
So,
Term is for this year?
just for this year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be down at the bridge by Monday, right?
I wish. Yeah.
But am I right in assuming, it almost sounds like, and pardon the pun, that it's kind of a wash, like with what we've been spending extra on hauling.
Might be a little bit cheaper.
Hauling on the
Right.
normal way.
Right.
We're kind of coming out even.
A little bit cheaper, yeah.
This gives us the opportunity to compare what it costs to not pay to carry water across the bridge,
True.
to carry the water and the sludge together. So we'll be able to make a decision at the end of this program when and if the bridge restores its limits as to which way we want to go in the future, which is the most economical, which is the best for the environment.
Because I'm assuming, too, lighter, less sludge also reduces our costs at the landfill.
Correct. It will. Yes.
Cost analysis at the end of this.
I happened to, I got the pleasure of being on jury duty, and with the freeways being the way they are, I decided to take Jefferson home, and I passed the GLWA plant down there on the Rouge, and I noticed they have just built a very large state-of-the-art sludge drying facility, and so I think that this might also be a trend in the industry to do these dewatering and on a large scale.
Okay. Other questions, comments for Ms. Beneteau? This is interesting stuff.
Yeah.
All right, those in favor of...
Does the fluff smell?
No, it did not, actually. You know me, I kicked it around. I wanted to know if it stunk.
You were playing in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Those in favor of amending the contract for municipal and residential solid waste collection and disposal, recycling, and composting program between the Township of Grosse Ile and Waste Management of Michigan Incorporated to include attachment a statement of work for the biological sludge dewatering equipment and labor based upon the recommendation of the DPS Commission. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. Very good.
Thank you.
Moving on. Thank you, Ms. Bennett.
Mr. Supervisor, I was wondering if we could take our next one out of order since we have Lorinda up there and do the millage renewal on the drainage? Or do you want
that is that problematic?
I mean, if it causes a problem, we can have her sit down and get back up.
I would just assume that we stick with the order of the agenda.
All right.
Because I don't want a trustee to say that we change the order of the agenda.
All right, so let's move on then to action item number 3. Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This proposed legislation is for a millage renewal to maintain the current police department operations. The proposed motion or recommended action is as follows: to approve the attached ballot language to appear in the August 7, 2018 election. Millage renewal to maintain current police department operations. Shall the expired previously voted increase be renewed in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Grosse Ile Township of .75 mils, 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable value, reduced to .7460 mils, or 7,460 thousandths per $1,000 of taxable value by the required millage rollbacks, be renewed at .7460 mils, or .7460 cents per $1,000 of taxable value, and levied for a period of 5 years from 2018 through 2022 inclusive, to provide funds for the purpose of maintaining the current law enforcement operations on Grosse Ile, specifically for the police department funds, raising an estimated $448,000 in the first year the millage is approved and levied.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Bletcher, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
We should add that the millage question ends in a yes or a no.
That is because that's the only way a millage can be presented to the voters. So we are at that point. It's the township's board to approve the millage language, and this will be added to the next year's levy if it's approved and added to the state.
Chief Porcerelli? I'm sorry, I actually had a question for you on this. I'm sorry to call you back like that.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just...
But we have 4 millage questions on the agenda, and I wanted to ask either the director or the chair or the manager of the department in charge, or if they're not here, Dale or Ann, just for the public to know, when the millage says specifically for police department funds, could you just explain what that entails? What part of the funds does this supply?
Well, any dedicated, this is a dedicated renewal, is the first amount, obviously, that we must use, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ann would know the numbers on this, the first amount that we must use for the operation of the police department.
So this is for police operations.
That's what it's used for.
This includes salary, staff benefits.
That's the first amount, yes,
Okay.
that they remove from the dedicated first.
And then what is the second? The general fund. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Sure.
Okay, we also augment the police funding with, like you said, general fund, and there are fines and state grants. 3 total police millages. But anyway, this is the one we're putting up for renewal. Other comments? What you will also notice that originally this was passed as a 75 cents per thousand. Now we're at .746. I keep talking about Headley. This is a result of the Headley amendment. It ratchets down because property values are going up. We have to reduce what we take on the millages. And I'm going to be at MTA the remainder of the week, seeing if I can get some interest in recovering some of that because it's killing us. Other comments from the board? Okay, none offered. Those in favor of approving the attached ballot language to appear on the August 7, 2018 election, millage renewal to maintain current police department operations. Should I read it again? Or I think
Yeah, you're good.
I think we're good. Ending in a yes or no. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. That carries. That will be moved on to the county and the ballot. Action item number 4. That would be Mr. Nelson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the attached ballot language to appear on the August 7th, 2018 election. The renewal is to maintain current Recreation Department operations. Shall the expired previously voted increase be renewed in a total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Grosse Ile Township of .375 mil, reduced to .3729 mils of the taxable value. By the required millage, rollbacks be renewed at .3729 mils, .729 per $1,000 of taxable value, and levy for a period of 5 years from 2018 through 2022 inclusive, to provide funds for the purpose of maintaining the current operations of the Grosse Ile Recreation Department, raising an estimated $224,000 in the first year the millage is approved and levied.
Yes or a no?
With a yes or a no.
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
moved by Trustee Nelson, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. Again, this is in the same, it's what we're required to keep, and I say keep our current Recreation Department operations. Without it, there will be, well, the board will react. If the voters don't approve it, we make reductions to Recreation. If the voters approve it, we do the best we can to work Miss O'Farrell we just work her real hard.
Well, doesn't this include her salary?
This includes her salary, yes.
So yeah, I think I wanted to ask the same question, what does operations entail? And it's the salary and staff. It's not programs, it's not programming, it's not facilities, it's the people.
A lot of it in that case, it makes up facilities and maintenance as well.
So it does as well.
Yeah.
And okay.
Programs are supposed to be self-funded.
And there's 2 rec villages, correct?
Yes.
This is just one of the 2. Okay.
All right, any other discussion among the board? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the attached ballot language to appear on the August 7th, 2018 election, millage renewal to maintain current Recreation Department operations, yes or no? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will carry also. Moving on to number 5, be the library millage.
Library millage reads as follows. Shall the expired previously voted increase to be renewed, the total tax limitation posed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution, Grossville Township, of 0.4 mils, 40 cents per $1,000 of taxable value, reduced to 0.397 mils, 39.3978 per 1,000 taxable value. By the required millage rollbacks, it's going to be at 0.3978 and be levied for a period of 5 years from 2018 to 2022, inclusive, provide funds for the purpose of providing an off-island library service, raising an estimated $239,000 in the first year the millage is approved to be levied, as a yes or no vote.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Budney. Discussion among the board. Once again, we're looking at the Headley rollbacks, and how much of this do we actually collect?
Actually, we have not assessed the 0.4 in several years. We do like 0.2 to operate the library. And it's ever since the change has been taken away from Wayne County, we've saved a tremendous amount of money.
So if anybody remembers when we had the initiative to take the Trenton Veterans Library, take it out of the Wayne County library system, make the community library out of it, saved us, we got an excellent library and saved a ton of, in technical terms, a ton of money. And that, in this case now, we only levy half of this. I think we have to leave it at this level to stay as part of it, but we're only levying what we actually need for our share of the library.
That's
I think
correct.
it's been a good end. And I'm going to pass on to Ms. Darsniak, who helped make the transition happen. But, Madam Clerk.
And I'm sorry, I have a question, though, and you know the answer. But what does off-island library service, so this gives islanders, if we pass this and we pay this, we have the opportunity to go to the Trenton Memorial Library.
That is correct.
Are we still able to go to the Wayne County libraries?
You're part of the Wayne County network.
Okay.
The library network.
I do get asked that once in a while, so I just thought that was worth clarifying.
Other questions, comments? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the attached ballot language to appear on the August 7, 2018 election, millage renewal for continuing off-island library services, yes or no, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered? That motion carries also. Let's move on to number 6. Mr. Budney.
Yes. This is a motion for millage renewal to improve and maintain drain and stormwater management projects. The millage renewal language is millage renewal to improve and maintain drain stormwater management projects. Shall the expired previously voted increase be renewed in the total tax limitation imposed under Article 9, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution in Groseal Township of .33 mils, or 33 cents per thousand of taxable value, reduced to .3282 mils, 0.3282 cents per thousand of taxable value, by the required millage rollback, be renewed at .3282 mils, and levied for a period of 5 years from 2018 through 2022, inclusive, to provide funds for the purpose of improving and maintaining drainage and stormwater management projects throughout the Township of Groseal, raising an estimated $197,000 in the first year the millage is approved and levied, with a yes or no vote.
Okay, moved by Trustee Buddis, second by Treasurer Van Oust. Discussion among the board. Madam Clerk.
Well, I have a question that I've been wanting to have either Dale or Ann clarify. Also about the township's role in advocating for or against millages. Just to clarify for the public that township boards, commissions, committees, I believe, are not allowed by law to encourage people to vote yes or no on a millage, and that is the role then of the civic organizations or of the friends of groups that will take over that job. The township and its affiliated organizations can give all the facts, can have a forum for information, but cannot come out saying yes or no. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Correct. We do informational videos, things of that nature, to inform the public what we have done with our money and what we plan to do with it in the future. And we stop short of saying vote yes or vote no.
Yeah, I remember that legislation, and there were stays and all sorts. It's a mess. It's one more thing I'm going to investigate when I meet with the real experts as to where we are in that. But it's just good policy for us not to spend. We can't expend public funds to advocate for or against.
And I've had residents come up and say, why didn't the township do more on this millage or that millage, and having to explain it multiple times. I just thought this is a good time to let people know that is just something that the board cannot do.
Okay. I know, but this is
Can't talk right
Board
now.
discussion right now.
we're in board discussion. Well, you can talk at the end of the meeting, Bill. It's okay. Well, you'll be the first to the mic. Other discussion among the board. Okay, with that offer, those in favor of approving the attached ballot language to appear on the August 7, 2018 election, millage renewal to improve and maintain drain and stormwater management projects, yes or no, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be on the ballot also.
And this does support citizen-initiated storm water management projects. So it's something that we should also make clear.
Okay, with that, action item 7, Madam Clerk.
All right. Well, it is with a very heavy heart, and I can't see my trusted deputy over there, came to us a while ago, and then just about 2 weeks ago or so handed in a formal letter that she is ready to retire. And so this is the proposed motion and recommended action. Whereas Sharon Gray has served over 20 years as a dedicated employee of the Township of Groseal, and whereas during her employment with the Township of Groseal, Sharon Gray has served in various positions, including being assigned in 1997 to administration as a floating secretary, for which we teased her mercilessly, and was transferred in 1999 to the clerk's office as the clerk, secretary, and election coordinator, and was then appointed deputy clerk with the additional assignment as a manager of the clerk's office. And just for the record, the manager of the clerk's office is the title of the position, and deputy clerk is simply a designation that comes without salary or pay. But lots of stress. Free stress. Whereas Deputy Clerk Gray acquired the following certifications: State of Michigan Accredited Election Official, State of Michigan Certified Election Inspector Trainer, State of Michigan Notary Public, and U.S. Department of State Passport Acceptance Agent. And whereas Deputy Clerk Gray has provided tremendous support to the Township of Grosse Ile and the Board of Trustees in the most professional and conscientious manner throughout her tenure with the Township of Grosse Ile. And whereas the Township Board of Trustees regretfully accepts the retirement of Deputy Clerk Sharon Gray, now therefore be it proclaimed on this date, April 23, 2018, the Township of Grosse Ile does honor and thank Deputy Clerk Sharon Gray for her commitment and dedication to our island community. That is Part A of this motion.
Second.
And then Part B of the motion is to authorize the issuance of a retirement incentive payment to Sharon Gray in the amount of $500 per service year, totaling $10,000, again based on all the credentials, loyalties, etc., that were spelled forth in the motion, Part A.
I'll second that also. I think the proclamation covered the history. I can go back to when I was new to the job and got some. Brian, you might want to try doing it this way, and so my thanks, Sharon, for shepherding me through some tough times and just helping us keep the township. You're part of keeping the township running.
I've often had people say, well, how hard is it to be a township clerk? And the job has many facets. It's not something that that you often find in one individual, because legally, statutorily, the clerk's office is both an accounting entity. It's responsible for all of the accounts payable of the township. It is a record-keeping entity. The clerk is the keeper of all the records of the township. And there are many state statutes and federal statutes that outline how that should be done. Many clerks are the communication officers of their townships and are responsible for not just communicating to the board or to the media, but also to the community. And of course, managing elections. And that's a constantly changing field, as you know, with technologies and so forth, and staying on top of that. Our clerk's office is one of the smallest that I'm aware of, given the number of voters, given the size of the budget that we have. We currently have a staff of 2 active employees, and we have a staff of 2 retired employees who have been retired way before I was even the clerk. So when we did our budget, we discovered, they still are. To find a person who has the ability to handle all of these diverse functions and to work with the other individuals that share some of those functions was a real treasure. And I'm not trying to blow happy smoke out here. We found an employee who gave us stability in this department. I was clerk for 16 years, and I tried to retire, and somehow found myself back here. But she carried on with the next clerk, with the same professionalism, with the same knowledge and information, and that is, she's well respected by all the Wayne County clerks in our association. Sharon is highly respected by our state association. And I always love bringing up the fact that she brought passports to Grow Seal, and that has been one of the few ways the clerk's office can actually raise revenue. But it's also a very complicated role. There's serious training now in becoming a passport acceptance agent. And so, again, with all that said, we've been very fortunate and to have Sharon working with us and for us, and all at the same time been working with Brian Friel to make sure that he was prepared to hopefully pursue and fill those shoes when the time came for her to retire. And so, because otherwise I would not have the confidence mid-term to say, I think Sharon, we should vote to allow Sharon to retire. Because if I were really a smart clerk, I would say, hell no, 4 more years, right? So, but I think she has served, and she has given us the reasons why it's important to her to retire at this time. And she has laid out a plan for the department moving forward, hand in hand with myself and the administration. So I advocate that we do accept Sharon's retirement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Treasurer.
Just a couple of comments. Oftentimes we get a lot of credit as elected officials for things we do, but the reality is it's not us that does it. It's people that work the job day to day. We're an oversight group. Our job is to try not to burn the building down in a short period of time. And we go to these professionals that run our departments for guidance. Oftentimes they have to bring us in, rein us in, because what we think is a great idea. And when I first became treasurer, I thought of 100 things that I was going to change, and it didn't take me long to figure out that, we've already looked at that a couple times. We'll let you know when we think one of them is good, and they were right, because everything is done for a reason. So I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to know Sharon, work side by side with her on a daily basis. And congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your help.
Other comments from the board? Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I've been on the board for some 16-plus months now. I have found Sharon to be absolutely helpful. She's never told me no. She's never raised an eyebrow. She never turned around and said, oh my God. When I have asked her for information, she was able to provide it. Mr. Ream and Mr. Budney and I have been working on policies and procedures to update those, some of which go back as far as when you first started here, Sharon, I think in 1997. And by God, we're going to get it done. So when I asked Sharon for the information, the packets, and all of the attempts to do this previously, she sent me a binder that was about 3 inches thick, shoved it across the counter, and said, good luck, young man. Sharon, my experience with you has been 100% totally professional. I thank you for all the service that you have rendered to me personally, to the Township Board generally, and to the community as a whole. You have done a remarkable, consistent, professional, excellent job, and I just want to say 2 things. Thank you, and God bless you for a long retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Bledger.
God bless Tony.
Other comments from the board? All right, I think we hashed out both parts of this originally. Let me just take it to a vote at this time. And
we'll vote on Part A.
This is only presented, to my knowledge, in one.
It's
Just one, there's just
Oh,
one,
it's just
there's
one
just one motion. So, and again, I think we internally discussed it. Different people have different thoughts on this, but now is the time. And I'll run a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
Aye.
Mr. Treasurer.
Sadly, aye.
Supervisor, aye. Mr. Nelson.
More sadly, aye.
Mr. Budney.
Sadly, because of B, nay.
Mr. Malvesto.
For much the same reason, because of B, nay.
And Mr. Bletcher.
I vote aye.
And that gives the gives us a 5-2 vote. The motion carries. We know that we were splitting hairs on one part of it. We all wish you, I can speak for the board on this, we all wish you the very best, Sharon. Thank you, and I would be happy if you didn't, because if you didn't, I would have.
Then you please.
No,
Gotcha.
she's your deputy. She's just been my mentor.
Well, she's been my both.
All right, so Mike, get ready with the cameras, because
Get the tissues.
I just have a moment.
May 31st will be the actual date, so start saving to get flowers,
Have your
going away presents.
island
Thank you.
that you've treated like your home,
It's true.
and your proclamation. And I'm
you.
going to give you a hug.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, especially my clerk, I wasn't going to cry, but I probably will. It's been a great pleasure to work here. I came here in '97 looking for a career, and boy, did I find one. I found not only a wonderful career, but also have been blessed to work with so many outstanding coworkers and elected officials alike. I've enjoyed learning all the intricate details, some of which are mind-boggling, of local government, and most especially the wide-ranging demands of the Township Clerk's office and the responsibilities of local, state, and county elections. I cherish the many friendships I've made with my coworkers and Grosse Ile Township residents alike. I also want to thank my coworker Brian Friel for being an excellent and very conscientious assistant to me over the last 14 years. I know that he will continue to serve the township well, and I wish him all the best moving forward. Although this has not been an easy decision. When I leave here on May 31st, I do look forward to beginning a new chapter of my life that I hope will be filled with abundant new adventures. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Well, and with the emotional aside, we have planned moving forward. This is not a surprise move. And like I said, Sharon has been a part of strategizing moving forward, and we've agreed and disagreed on different things. We've included the administration, certainly, and other board members as well, and certainly Brian. But I want to make clear that while we will follow the protocols, and I think Dale will be able to verify that we will be putting this position out for union members or internal applicants. We are certainly hoping some people will apply, and that is our obligation. We are not obligated to put it out for public until we decide that we don't have an internal applicant that fills the needs of the township. Am I correct? Thank you. So I'm a firm believer that you work with the people who have grown into the job, who understand the community. And if you can find someone like that within your organization, I think you are a very, very fortunate organization. But if you can't, then you do go out and you search for somebody from without. But as I'm saying, I'm putting this out here for residents and obviously people in the audience who have criticized us in the past for the protocols. What we see moving forward is that this, even though this is still going to be a very slim office, with the Brian is going to have some time, if he receives this position, if he gets the call, so to speak, to train his replacement and to make sure we find somebody who fulfills that role. And that is where the savings come in for us during that time period. And they had to convince me quite hard, because I think this department requires 2 full-time people in the long term. One person cannot do all of these roles without dropping a ball now and then after a certain amount of time. And being in a position where I carry many different responsibilities as a single manager and my own staff, you realize that if you don't have someone to delegate tasks to, some tasks stop being performed. And the statutory requirements of this role are just too important to let that happen. And so that's kind of my parting shot here, is that we need to make sure, no matter what, that the statutory requirements of this department are not compromised. Everything else, we have attorneys, we have managers, and all these things we will work out to protect the best assets and interests of the township. But I feel very confident that we will be able to do so. And thank you for letting me have that moment.
And with that, why don't you go right into your clerk's report, since you're warmed up.
Thank you. I am warmed up now. Well, normally I don't have a whole lot of other things, but believe it or not, the Planning Commission actually has a meeting coming up so far, still, on next Monday at 7:30 here. And so everyone is welcome to come. And prior to that meeting, I will also be sharing the information that our resident shared with us today about the ordinance amendments that are being sought, and a few other questions that board members have brought that they would like the commission to pay attention to. For a moment, I'm going to take off my clerk's hat and put on my rowing hat. Next weekend, well, last weekend, or what was, the weekend before last, the rowing bottle drive got rained, blown, stormed out. They have a rain date that is Saturday, May 12th. So please hang on to those bottles and cans. The crew really depend on all the contributions that they receive. We just had our annual fundraising dinner dance where Eric Flesland, the president of the organization, pointed out it costs about $70,000 a year to run the crew for the high school. That includes transportation. It includes our use of the Wyandotte boat facilities, budgeting for new boats, new oars, etc. So that's not a cheap ticket. And so the kids work really hard to raise that money. And every bottle drive is really, really valuable to the organization. And as you know, it's the rowers that are going out door to door collecting those bottles and cans, and it's their parents that are driving the vans and trucks and are doing all the sorting on the Singlinator machinery that we've developed. It's a row of cardboard that they sort the cans on anyway. Then next weekend is the Hebda Cup in Wyandotte. It usually snows, but the kids are ready. The weekend after that is the Y High regatta. So we've got 2 really big regattas coming to Wyandotte. They do pump some money into that economy, and they are a lot of fun. And I want to make sure people feel invited. You don't have to be a rower to appreciate. You don't have to have a rowing kid to appreciate the fun of a regatta. And that brings up something that Supervisor Loftus asked me to address. Last Saturday, there were news reports throughout the afternoon of a terrible accident on the Grosse Seal for the Grosse Seal crew on the Detroit River, and it was a surprise to me. So my son is a rower. He's a senior on the team. He's a co-captain. He came home from practice on Saturday morning. I said, "How was practice?" And he said, "It was wet," and that was it. And so, okay, you do get wet rowing. It wasn't until the evening when Sharon texted me and said, "Oh my God, is Kieran okay? I heard about the rowing accident." And I was just like, huh? So sure enough, we Googled it, and the news got all the way to Seattle. I mean, the Associated Press picked it up. So you can imagine, my kid's wearing his suit. He's at the dinner dance, and I'm like, what is going on? So we discovered from the coaches and everybody else that, unfortunately, and I'm a former journalist, that the journalists didn't quite get all the facts of this story straight. And I hate to say that swamping a shell is common, but it does happen, especially on the Detroit River, when you have a lot of boats, other boats around, motor boats, power boats, fishing boats. The Coast Guard was not called from Belle Isle. Indeed, it probably would have taken them a good half hour to get there. They were already there because of the fishing derby going on, and so they were on site. The kids know, in fact, you'll laugh, I did it myself. There is a maneuver where you get out of your shell very carefully and you climb up into the launch, the coach's launch, and they practice that. And yes, the kids were wet and they were cold, but nobody was in danger of drowning. Nobody went to the hospital. So it's unfortunate that a dire story went out when it really wasn't quite so dramatic. What I do believe is there was a rowing incident that resulted in the death of a rower in the Chicago area a week or 2 back, and it might be that is now what elicited the added interest in the event. But all the kids were fine. All the kids showed up at the dinner dance, and all the kids told their parents absolutely nothing. So they strive very hard to stay safe on the river, and on any river that they row on. They know that there are dangers involved, but there's always several coaches' launches for every shell that's out there. So now to the exciting stuff, the clerk stuff. There is and again, thanks to Sharon, there is a precinct delegate filing deadline for the August primary election, and that's at 4 p.m. on May 8th. So if you're planning to run as a precinct delegate on the August ballot, on the primary ballot, you need to get your filing into the clerk's office by 4 p.m. on May 8th. Forms are available online for this at michigan.gov/elections, or you can come get the forms at your Grosse Ile Township Clerk's office. The last day for new voter registration for the August election is July 9th. And I want to make a special note to this. If you are a first-time voter, if you are just graduating high school and you're 18 and you're able to register to vote, unless you register in person at a clerk's office or at the Secretary of State's office, you will have to present yourself with your ID to a clerk's office or a Secretary of State's office if you wish to vote absentee in your first election. So if you are registering to vote by a postcard that you get in the mail from a political party or from a environmental organization or any other kind of advocacy group, you may be registered to vote, but you need to show your signature and your ID to a human in a clerk's office or Secretary of State's office before you will be allowed to receive an absent voter ballot. So a lot of college kids end up registering to vote by postcard and then can't get home in order to vote because they were counting on an absent voter ballot and they can't receive one. So we're really working hard. We're working with Representative Camilleri's office to make students and other residents aware that it's very important if you register to vote by mail that you do present yourself in person before the election if you want to vote absent. We are now also accepting application for precinct inspectors. The forms are available in the clerk's office or online at michigan.gov elections. You have to be a Wayne County resident to work as an election inspector on Grosse Ile. We are very much interested in many applicants. We are looking for young applicants from the high school to join us. We can have a 16-year-old in every precinct. We are looking for residents of all ages to come and work with us because our pool is aging. And we desperately need you. We will pay you, we will feed you, and believe it or not, people actually do have a good time working as election inspectors. You must be at least 17 years of age. You will be trained here at Township Hall, and you must be able to work a full day from 6 a.m. until about 9 p.m. That is it for the clerk's report. Sharon, it's the last time you have to listen to me go through this. You got a couple more to go, right? You're going to be sending Brian from now on, I know.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Treasurer.
Thanks, Brian. For the month of March, Grosse Ile had a total of $19,192,788 invested in various accounts. They generated about $35,192, and the average interest rate is over 1%. It's about 1.09, which is really an improvement. The current breakdown of these investments can always be found on my website at grosseile.com. The Treasurer's Office continues to sell dog tags, 2018 dog tags, provide rabies vaccination when purchasing your pet tag. Cost of the tag is now $12. Dog park passes are available for $10 for residents and $20 for non-residents. My last appeal for the Citizen of the Year for our Rotary Club. You have till the end of this week. We need it by Friday. You can get the application or the form at grosseilrotary.org, or we have them here at the Township at the clerk's office and at the manager's office. I urge you, if you have someone that you're considering, get them in, because as of that date, we start the process, and they'll be selected by the 15th of next month. And I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Let's move on to trustee liaison reports. Mr. Nelson.
I have a couple things real quick. The CRC meeting is this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Right here in the boardroom. And the other thing is the golf course opened today officially, and Ms. O'Farrell said that there were a ton of people out there playing golf. So 69 degrees outside, make that money. If the bridge closes, ay. Anyway, it is what it is, but she was extremely happy that the turnout was very good today. The other thing is probably not in my bailiwick here, but I saw on the News Herald, I think on Sunday, about Representative Camilleri is in the process of coming up with funding through a special funding source, federal government, to work on the grade separation. I'm sure Mr. Loftus knows more than I do, so I won't say anything else. If he has more information, I would appreciate it if he would get it out there.
I will. I get something. There are introductory steps on funding the Allen Road grade 7, and this has come up a number of times before. We're looking for Tiger grants for it. He's looking for another source here with Erica Geis, looking at different funding sources for one of our least favorite railroad grade crossings, Allen Road, just north of Van Horn. There are a lot, like any other expenditure project, there are a lot of moving parts to this.
Oh, yeah.
But when it starts growing legs or it takes in direction, I'll ensure that because it affects us, we were brought into the decision-making loop on it, I'll let you know where the project's going.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Oh, that's it? Okay, with that, Mr. Budney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I think based on the performance of some of the board members tonight, it's best that I just don't say anything. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. Mr. Malvesto.
I'd like to congratulate Kurt Kobiak. He's now going to be part of our Fire Commission. He'll be a valuable asset to all of us. I know we've had a number of conversations about it. The unfortunate thing is we're losing one of our members. I think we'll probably next meeting, Chief, we'll have something specific on that, if that's all right with you. As always, the Fire Commission meetings take place the second Thursday of every month. BPAC, there's been a number of study sessions. There's nothing has been formed up yet, so there's really nothing I can present to you. But currently, our BPAC meetings are the third Thursday of the month. It appears that they may go back to the original third Tuesday of the month. We'll know more next time around. That being said, I believe that the action item number 7, the section B particularly, has done nothing but open up a Pandora's box of me toos as we go down the line. And I believe that this could very well come to bite this board in the back end moving forward. It's unfortunate, but it's something they'll have to live with. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Mr. Bletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I have 2 reports. One is regarding open space greenways. We have resumed discussions on access from Ferry Road to the Ferry Trails that begin now technically on Gage and Island. The second project we're looking at, we have had preliminary discussions. We're now exchanging details, hopefully with a specific offer to be presented in the very near future. Regarding police, everyone is invited. That is all Township board members, Ann, Dale, the chairs of each of the commissions, and all of the department managers to a 5-year projection study that we have that is going to be held on Thursday evening, April 26th at 7 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. This is the 5-year plan that we have been looking forward to presenting, and I think that the news there is generally very, very good, and I know that Mr. Zalasko has been working very hard with Ann to make this thing realized, make it as accurate as possible. And Ann, on behalf of the entire commission, we thank you for the fine work that you've done. And anybody who can work with Bob for as long as you have deserves kudos. Thank you. And thank you, Bob, for all the good work that you've done. Second of all, again, please save that. There's going to be a PowerPoint presentation, Public Safety Building, April 26th, Thursday at 7 p.m. Invite everybody to attend. This is our opportunity to show you, board members, managers, finance director, township manager, and all the other members of the commissions and the public exactly where your money's going and how we anticipate spending it and funding it. Really would be nice to have as many people there who are interested and can attend that at that time and place. Public Safety Building, come on down. Second thing is I'd like to bring Chief Porcerelli to the microphone. As we all know, and it seems like it was a long time ago, but we had an earthquake last week. And Chief Porcerelli, I'd like you to explain to the community and to the board what you did, what public safety did, and I think Duncan is somewhere out there if he wants to explain too.
Good evening once again. Just to let you know, all of my life I've never seen anything like this or heard anything like this or, was a part of anything like this. I was stunned. I don't know if some of you remember back that Flat Rock had one many years ago. It was just a little bit of it wasn't much of anything. But this one, we've got calls at the police department from everything from explosions to actually some people believed that vehicles had struck their house. That's how bad it shook some of them. So what we did is I wanted to make sure, especially for the business district and the business people and the public buildings, that there was no infrastructure damage or say the windows, like we went down Macomb to check on the businesses. The last thing I want to see is the front window shattered of a business and nobody knowing about it until the next morning when possibly half the showroom or front of it was emptied out. So we wanted to make sure it didn't seem like there was any damage, appreciable damage that we can see. Obviously, I'm not sure what has occurred in private homes for your foundation, things like that. But we did go out and we did look. I was surprised there wasn't the damage that I expected, but it was upgraded apparently, and I don't know my geological scales, but it was a 3.6 in the beginning, but it was upgraded to a 4.1, and the epicenter was 1 mile from about where the middle school was. And sometimes the epicenter of the earthquakes, it's a little bit lighter, and sometimes it's a little bit stronger. Not sure what we got, but Amherstburg was the epicenter, and we just wanted to make sure that any infrastructure damage didn't leave businesses vulnerable or any public buildings vulnerable, and we wanted to make sure they got a handle on it that night. Now, apparently everything was intact. The schools, they didn't have any interior damage that I know of or that resulted in any type of closure. In the businesses on Macomb, there was nothing broken out. I was surprised. I thought for sure we'd find that. It was that. But the calls we got were unbelievable what they thought occurred. It was just unbelievable. I mean, I was kind of shocked, but that's basically it. And I'm glad that we didn't have what I thought maybe would come out of that, which is good.
I was just going to say, Chief,
yeah, if there's any questions, go ahead, Brian.
No,
you go ahead.
Chief Murdoch, but I think Uta wanted to make a comment.
Just on the on the earthquake, just to say, you and the fire department are so on the ball. I listen to Canadian radio quite a bit, and Essex County found that they had a lot of work to do in terms of their emergency planning. They were just not. I mean, fortunately, there was no damage, even in Essex County, at the epicenter. But they realize they have some work to do in getting their emergency planning up and running, and we do. So, thank you again.
Well, we try to stay ahead of things, and how do you stay ahead of an earthquake? I don't know. I mean, we try to stay ahead of every issue that we can think of and foresee for our future, but. This one was a little bit unusual, but at least we wanted to make sure, again, that none of the businesses especially were vulnerable. We don't want that. So, but for tomorrow, I mentioned just something for tomorrow, and Duncan brought something up. With this bridge closure at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to put out another push notification on Grosedale Connect tomorrow, but it is on the radio system also, the 1700. And just so you know, if you have any questions on the bridge, we get this all the time. If you're going to call, I'm going to say call the business line, not 911. I mean, you should be knowing there's not much we can give you that you probably don't know already. But if you have to call the business line, I would not tell anybody don't call. Call the 7100, not the 911, because we do have two lines, and then what it does, it jumps to another city. So if we get 10, 12, 14, 16 911 calls like we did during the earthquake issue, what we did, and so did the other cities, they jammed up the whole 911 system. because we can only handle 2 at once, but it rotates through and it just goes to another city and they let us know by radio, which the whole system probably we could handle 24 911 calls at once, which is great to be able to do, but it does jam the system up, obviously. So, but thank you for understanding that.
Thanks, Chief. Carl?
I'd ask if Chief Murdoch has anything to add to that. There's 2 heads to the public safety. Duncan, do you have anything you want to add?
Good.
Nothing
All right.
further.
With no damage and no injuries. Nice to okay. Let's move on.
Oh, can I ask Carl a favor?
Why not?
Well, Carl, you talk about the police department April 26th and the 5-year plan, and I know I will not be able to be there. I may not be the only one. I'm wondering, can you do a repeat performance and come to our next board meeting where we also have the cameras so we could get more people to see your presentation? I think that would be very valuable.
How long is it? How long is it?
About an hour. Yes.
Oh.
That's a little bit
longish. Is it possible that we could have somebody from GITV film it and then broadcast it?
That's our hope, is that Ted will have somebody there to do that on Thursday.
Okay.
It is so.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
All right. All right, move on. Let's see. Township Attorney Mr. Assorti is up at the MTA conference, learning whatever municipal attorneys need to learn in that ever-changing world. Township Manager Report, Mr. Ream.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to comment on a few brief items this evening. Grosville Connect has been having some issues with the Android platform due to security repairs they've recently completed. The Apple products have gone through. Should have received the notification today about the bridge inspection tomorrow, and I know the supervisor will have to give you details. But I just wanted everyone to know that the hopes are the Android issues for push notifications will be resolved. Some were working, some aren't. I don't know what else to say. It is frustrating because what we've learned is a lot of people very, very, very much truly appreciate push notifications under Grosville Connect. But what Public Safety did do today was the Code Red notification system, because it was such short notice from Wayne County. So, but we're not abandoning it. It is just they have a glitch with their security in their platform right now, and that's the main parent company that we contract with. I wanted to show this picture. This picture is the aerial view of the airport recreation area, which is the recreation area across the street from where we are right now in Township Hall. The sled hill is the dirt area in the left top corner near the tip of my pen, and you'll see this hashed darker area with the arrow identified as fill area. We several years ago had a wetland study done, which is the red area, and we were able to mark that area off, and the contractor that's going to be getting the West River Road project will have spoils and things of that nature from the construction project, and they will be depositing that fill in that area. I reported that to the board via email a few weeks ago, but I wanted to reaffirm that and show the picture. We're not filling any wetland areas. We're not violating any environmental regulations. But what this does is it stops the contractor from having to double haul off the island, extra wear and tear on the bridges, and extra expense to the township. So what this also does is the Recreation Department and the CRC are going through a site plan evaluation study for that entire airport recreation area on parking layouts, field layouts, et cetera. So it does allow more usable room. And the question I've been asked is, what's this for? Is it for A? Is it for B? Is it for C? The answer is no. Or the answer is yes. It's to be determined. So they're in the process of reviewing all those things. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that this was out there. And the last item I want to mention on is earlier you started the program this evening with explanation of the DDA survey, and Supervisor Loftus has talked about the different projects and programs they have going, and Angela shared her thoughts on that. But one of the things that I wanted to communicate to the board and the community that's been a super positive in relationship to the DDA over the past 2 years, and with bringing Angela on board, all those businesses that are in the process of redevelopment or the new buildings that are being built, a lot of that communication has been facilitated by the DDA and Angela by working with the township departments, police, fire, DPS, building department, and in essence has been helping act as an ambassador, and that's helped a lot of these projects move forward much more smoothly. The one that probably, she mentioned a couple. I think the next one that's going to get ready to start is the old bank building for Public Service Credit Union. They're in the process of going through their design and permit submission right now too. So let's just become a great way to work with all of those businesses, and the new and the existing, to help it benefit the community. So I just wanted to pass that on to everyone.
Mr. Ream, is there anything you want to add about the Public Service Credit Union, why the partnership is developing and working as well as it has? Have you had any role in that?
Public Service Credit Union is very much looking at wanting to be very participatory in Groseal residents' banking needs. They see, as a credit union, a full-service credit union, they see a lot of their not only potential for their organization, but they can provide a lot of benefits to their members, and they want every Groseal resident to be a member if possible. The reason I know that is I do have the honor to serve on their board of directors. It is a volunteer position, but I was involved with the organization when it was Metro Shores, and Metro Shores merged with Public Service, and Public Service was 5 times larger, and they offer that much more. As the banks are leaving communities, credit unions are staying, and they see the benefit. So they're looking forward to being, in essence, a partner to all the residents, because you're a member, you're not a customer.
I just wanted to take this time to acknowledge and thank you for your role in that. That's very substantial, and I think that's a great thing that you've done.
I thank you, but I can't take credit for that. There's a whole board of directors, and as an organization, they see the value in the community, and it's taking care of itself. So thank you, though.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dale.
Sir.
Got a couple questions. I was asking Jim, on the East River Waterline project, there was no roadbed that was torn up. It was all underground boring, and so that sludge material was transported to a pit where it was dumped and then later removed, correct?
Yeah, that was the watering process, the pit they had across the street.
Right, yeah. This time around, there will be some roadbed construction, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm going to assume that there's going to be some sludge like last time, because it's going to be a lot of boring there, correct?
As I understand, there's going to be no dewatering sludge pits.
But so the fill that's going over here could be comprised of, I'm going to say road bed, asphalt.
Yeah, that is
number of
correct.
things.
Yes, some asphalt, dirt.
That'll be a permanent fill then.
Yes, it will be. Yes, it will be. And I guess it's a good point. The material the samples have been taken along the project site because we wanted to make sure, knowing that all the roads at one time or another were dirt and may have had oil applied to them for dust control, and technology's changed over time. It has passed all of the environmental requirements to be allowed as normal fill, if that makes sense. And if
will there, because of the fact that there will be, again, blacktop pavement type of materials in there, is there any plans on putting a barrier fence around it to keep people off it? The kid on his motocross, bicycle.
Oh, certainly.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, not only is the wetland boundary marked, the area's already been fenced, and I'm not sure if it's in place yet, but posts and cable type gate.
And this in no way interferes with the Gyra baseball, because there's property in that general area, right? The Gyra baseball fields.
One of the old plans showed the baseball field in part of this area, and it may be, it may not be into the future.
I'm just concerned that with exposed pavement.
Yeah, well, actually, a lot of that area is filled in broken concrete. It's the cap that makes all the difference. So,
will any of this be capped as well?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riem. Well, let me wrap it up with some bad news and some worse news. Okay, well, we got introduction. As you've seen, the pipes are being staged. The West River Road project is starting. How soon, Lorinda? Go ahead. This is going to impact a lot of people. So let's.
Yeah, it looks like the first week in May. It looks like maybe around May 7th now. Now with the bridge closure, I don't know if anybody has noticed that they started staging on the west side. So I don't know. They're probably going to have to go down the toll bridge to start bringing some more material over. So that's one issue. Also, they will be. West River Road will be one-way traffic, southbound only. They'll have signage up. Westcroft Gardens, they were a little concerned about people knowing, yes, they are open during construction. We will have signs posted as well, directing them, follow the arrows. I don't know what else.
I'm going to be prepared for changes to all the above with the news we got today on the Wayne County Bridge. So I'm just asking everyone, be flexible, check your Grosse Ile Connect apps, look at the Township website, the Facebook sites. I'll be working closely with Ms. Beneteau, Wayne County, the manager, the DPS, to make all these events that are coming up as harmless as possible, or as little blood letting as possible. It's just going to be tough sledding for a couple of weeks here. Talked about boaters a little bit. We've had the heavy rains. We all know that. We don't all know. I know. The Great Lakes Basin overall received 3 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. That's the most rain I think may not ever been recorded, most I'm aware of, for the whole area. So the lakes are high. They're going to stay high. The rivers are high, and that means two things. There's a lot of stuff floating down that river, up to and including picnic tables I've seen going by in front of my house. So you boaters out there, when you're out there at the crack of dawn, can't see, and you just can't get to that fishing spot fast enough, it could get expensive and it could get dangerous. Be careful out there. The rowers are out there. Be careful out there in your boats. The water is real cold. Please wear your PFDs. Please plan on the water being real cold and stuff that you don't want to hit there. We pushed out notifications or attempted to asking you to limit your use of water during that heavy rain. As we know, we do have some infiltration of the stormwater. There was some, again, discussions as to why this is happening. It happens. We'll work on separating. We are working on separating, but in the meantime, when we ask you to limit your water usage, it's so you don't overwhelm our wastewater treatment plant. We have some $50 million invested in that since I've been watching it. It's a mess. We're working on it. We have the administrative consent order. We're trying to do the best we can with your tax dollars. If we ask you to limit your water usage, we're serious about it. We really need you to participate. But with that, I said bad to worse. Well, as of, about 1:45 this afternoon, I was notified by Wayne County that the Grosse Ile the Grosse Ile Parkway Bridge was going to be closed, and then went back and forth as to when and for how long and for what reason. It wasn't what I was told the week prior, but we went from this afternoon to tomorrow morning at 9:30. I'll read you the press release. Again, this is right from Wayne County, so it's their bridge. This is their press release. Grosse Ile Parkway Bridge over West River Road and Park Lane Drive over Thoroughfare Channel Bridge will be closed to traffic beginning at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, April 24th for installation of support beams and a detailed inspection. Project work is estimated to be completed by Monday, April 30th. To your residents here, I don't think you need details, but that was on how to avoid it. The bridge it isn't actually the metal part of the bridge that's being closed, but they're working on the portion that crosses West River Road. That's going to be closed. So in effect, the whole bridge is closed, starting at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and it will be closed. From what I understand right now, once they close it at 9:30 tomorrow morning, it will stay closed until they're done with the work. They test it and reopen it for traffic. It won't be opening in the evenings. It won't be just a rush hour only. It will be closed. We just found out in this press release that the Park Lane over the Thoroughfare Canal, that's up in the area of the lighthouse, will be closed also. I did my best to get the word out to the schools so they can change their bus routes. That's going to be closed also. So if you're returning via, I can't make this up, if you're returning to the island via the toll bridge, which you will have to after 9:30 tomorrow morning, don't plan on taking Bridge Road up to Park Lane and getting the tour East River, because you're going to turn around and come back. Again, these are Wayne County bridges. She follows up with a little information. We were briefed there are some 1,300 bridges in Wayne County, of which 232 are belong to the county for their repairs. So we have 14 or 15 total on the island. We have a big share. I wish I had better news. I'm going to have one more worse piece of news. When they discover what they need to do to the West River Road overpass where Parkway crosses West River Road is going to be closed while they do whatever reinforcing they do. So couple that with the fact that hopefully this will be done before the water work start, but it will be impossible to have that in place and one-way traffic on West River Road. So we'll be working with Ms. Beneteau, DPS, to get the project to start but not be impacted by what's going on at Grosse Ile Parkway. It's a mess. Hopefully a year from now we'll look back on it and chuckle. But in the meantime, please follow the website, follow the Facebook post. When we get GI Connect working for everybody, follow their post. Please, when you see the bridge closed tomorrow, please don't call 911. That's not an emergency. Your inconvenience is not an emergency. Please do not call 911 about the bridge being closed. It's closed for repairs. We've known this has been coming for a while. We'll try to get the information out to you as it becomes available. And that was how my afternoon went. I got the press release at 6:30 this evening, so this is about as hot off the press as it gets. When and if it changes, I'll get the information to you as soon as possible. Be careful out there. Please keep up with it and have some patience. We will get through this also.
Ryan, if I may add one thing to that, the general telephone number for public safety is 676 7100. That's 676-7100. Use that number as opposed to the 911. And Lorinda, if you're having second thoughts, I think we'd all understand. I think we will. Thank you.
We'll manage. Okay, that'll conclude.
I got a question for the chief, if you don't mind.
No, please do. Please.
Chief, I know in the past on bridge closures where we were, taken down to the toll bridge, right? You haven't always had the greatest cooperation on the other side of the river.
There's an understatement.
I'm trying to be.
No, I get it. Yes.
Do you see any issues there because of that light that's over, the timing of that light and that sort of thing?
No, what I do is, I guess the word would be I bypass the city and I call county straight since the county owns the light. So I get both lights changed. One light that I get changed is in the city of Riverview. It's a Wayne County light. So we get those changed. It's called a 3-cycle light where each gets a turn, which opens that up. When you get the light cycling in 3 ways, it does clear that intersection where there really isn't a need to direct traffic at the intersection.
Because I know we have the light on this side of the bridge, and then we have the light on the other side of the bridge.
Correct. One is in the city of Riverview. One now the bridge, road, and Meridian light. Obviously, that's within the township, and I had that one changed also to cycle as a regular 3-light cycle. And
well, I have confidence in you. Trust me. But I know that you've experienced some.
Well, we've had glitches of Wayne County. It's unfortunate, but sometimes I put the order in today again for it. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away, but they're pretty good about it. They're pretty good about getting out there and getting it done. The main problem that I can see is just the on-off with it, saying we're going to do it, then we don't, then they cancel it, and then I don't know if they say, forget about it, but there's a communication issue with a big entity like the county of getting them notified at lights that the bridge is going to be closing, so they are supposed to notify lights. I notify lights, they don't. And so I just make sure I have a checklist. I went over it, and I guess I apologize for being late to the meeting today. Brian had me doing a couple things. I had to get it done at the station, but I have a checklist, and the checklist is who I call, and one of those is to get them changed in Riverview. And once those lights are changed in Riverview, then even the toll bridge has stated it's really changed the whole dynamics, if you will, of people coming back onto Grosse Ile. So that's where we're at.
Day's work, right, Chief?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief.
Anytime.
Okay, that'll conclude our reports. We'll open up to public comment. 3 minutes. Any topic? We already had our first public comment, but we'll accept. Mr. Clark, are you up?
Woody Clark, Park Lane. Legal fees?
Yep. Legal fees to Katz, Zycard, and Weisselkel for grievances in the amount of $12,526.54, and Pepper Hamilton in the amount of $2,856.40.
Okay, the next question is to you then. On the bridge, is Park Lane open to Bridge Road?
To Bridge Road, it's open from Bridge Road to the bridge where it's closed. The bridge will be closed at the bridge. Park Lane Road will be closed at the bridge. The bridge will be closed.
Okay, so Park Lane you can't run to Bridge Road.
Depending on where you start.
Well, we'll start at Horse.
You're starting from the south. No, you cannot. You will not make it to Bridge Road because it will be closed at the canal.
Okay, is there some going to be at Horse Mill and Meridian directing traffic?
There will be, Chief, they put in barricades, is that correct?
Horse Mill and Park Lane.
Horse Mill and Park Lane to prevent somebody from driving north on Park Lane. Oh, heck. Darn, the bridge is closed. Pardon? Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're saying Park Lane from Horse Mill to Bridge Road is closed because of the bridge. Is that correct?
Road is open to local residents, but there will not be through traffic.
Local traffic only. You cannot get. In other words, look at the canal bridge. You can't get over the canal bridge going north or going south.
That's all I want to know. So,
Correct.
if a person's going from Horse Mill to Meridian, is there going to be somebody there at Horse Mill and Meridian? Because there's nobody going around. You can't go around now, Bridge Road to the light. Who's going to direct traffic?
The county is responsible for all signage in the county. Anytime that the county has any type of business going on,
Who's in charge of jam-ups?
that would be me.
Well, there's going to be a jam up there, Joey.
And what we do is we review the jam-ups, and then we act accordingly. We adapt and move on from there. Then that would be me. You're correct.
Should be fun tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Other public comment from the public present?
Oh, but Park Lane's not closed.
Mrs. Walker. Not till 9:30 tomorrow morning.
They are closing
Yeah,
tomorrow
that's
morning.
closed. Yeah, like I said, I just found that out tonight. Mrs. Walker.
Kathy Walker, Thorpe Court. I'm going to address the action item 7 in the same manner that it came out as an A and B. First of all, Sharon, congratulations. I wish you every happiness in your retirement. And Tony, every happiness with her. And I understand what it's like to finally be done with a job that you've done for a long time. But secondly, the B part, manning up. That's a term you used, Mr. Treasurer, and I'm confused by your definition. To me, in my vernacular, manning up means making the hard decisions. And quite honestly, Grosse-Ile Township offers a very generous pension, especially for the people at the 2.5. You know, why is this board incentivizing a retirement? Because I think it's 15 years to retirement, and everybody deserves the same or better, because you've got a whole bunch of people coming up to retire. And at 15 years, at $500, at $7,500 per person. I just don't understand it. Do we do this on a regular basis? Is this normal? I mean, you know, we've been talking about how you don't have enough people to do work, and now we're incentivizing retirements. As Mr. Malvesto mentioned, it's a Pandora box that you opened. And I totally agree with him. Employees eligible for retirement are going to be standing in line asking for the same financial treatment, if not better. Once again, in my opinion, this board has abdicated its financial responsibilities to the residents of Grosse-Ile. Thank you.
You certainly should, Mr. Treasurer.
Well, I didn't say man up on the vote. I said man up and vote on something, one way or the other. We have a tendency on this board to delay everything until we all know what's going on, and there's no reason we shouldn't know what's going on before we vote. That's why I said that. Secondly, anytime that my finance department and and this is going forward too, you can count on it. You can vote me out in 2 years, but anytime my finance department and my manager come to me and say the township can save money by acting when we act, I will act when I act. That will be my trigger. And if 10 people come here to retire, and if accelerating their retirement is going to save money for the township, then that's what I'm all about. So I'm not telling anybody to man up. I'm just answering why I voted what I voted. You may not agree with me because you don't agree on much I do, and I understand that because I don't agree with you on a lot of stuff either. But that's why I voted the way I voted.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Other comment from the public present, Mr. Heil.
Bill Heil, I live on East River Road. Udi, you made a comment that stimulated my thinking. It was relative to the millage and perceived responsibilities on what the board does and what the public does. We present something to you, it's up to you to approve it, and as I heard you, there was some thought in my mind that you had looked at laws and knew what the procedures were on them. My observation is this, and I'm speaking for myself as a citizen. but I see everybody on this board, to a degree, as a fiduciary. They are making decisions for the benefit of the people of this community, whether they come here or not. So you just don't go out and get any old bond issue and put it out for any old sum. You give it some consideration. And you are the people who choose to put it on the ballot. In my interpretation, that constitutes, by implication, a recommendation. And so I'm not quite able to agree with what you've said. However, I'm not a lawyer. I haven't read the law. I have studied law, and I know it goes like this. One person thinks this kind of a thing, you come out with a balance. I think that's why in courts you see a scale of justice, and Carl could probably affirm that. I'm not asking him to. But I think we have to look at that with care and recognize that we do have responsibilities here. Personally, if I were to make some observation about the decision-making process that collectively goes here, I'd like to see more research done on the stuff that's going on behind the decisions, and then if you show it as an example, explain how you came up with it. Just to speak rhetorically, and I'll try to keep this in 3 minutes. What do we pay a police officer who's a police chief? We've got one in Three Rivers, Michigan. We got one in Detroit. Would you pay them equally for the same responsibilities? I don't think anybody would do that at all. But what a person in Three Rivers has to oversee isn't what Detroit has to oversee. Well, let's turn that around a little bit and talk about what is comparative communities. Is Canton, Michigan comparable with Hamburg Township or whatever? I'm making up Hamburg. I think I'm not able to see how those things had meaning. And if those meanings were applied or presented, it might be easier to understand and either accept or respect or whatever the kind of decision-making that goes on here. But I do have the worries that I've already said before. I'm not going to go into them anymore. And I'm just wanting to just say that you raised a question that I think is important. That's what I wanted to comment on.
Again, if your concern is, or your I'll just say concern is that by voting to put this on the ballot, we are in fact endorsing it. There is no other mechanism in this general law township to get a issue on the ballot other than the Board of Trustees putting it on the ballot. There is no other mechanism. So were we not to put it on the ballot, we would be depriving the residents of the opportunity to give their opinion what they want to do with their wallets.
Maybe we're into a semantic hang-up. I don't disagree with what you've said. What I'm saying to you is that
it's the law that only the township board can vote to put, as I understand, to put a millage question to the voters.
But I didn't hear you say that the first time you presented it. I heard you basically saying something to the effect that if we're going to make it different, we have to have other people to come in and do it.
Bill, that goes to we put the millage. We vote to put the millage on. We cannot now, for the next 12 meetings, go make sure you vote for that or make sure you vote against it. We cannot do that by law.
No, I understand that, and if that's what you're basically intending to say, somehow I didn't hear that coming out before. I agree with that. I'm grateful you chose those words, Jim.
So as a member of the civic organization,
right,
you can advocate to the public how they should vote.
Yeah.
But we put a ballot question on the ballot.
You don't have that.
And so we cannot advocate one way or the other.
I guess on the other hand, I'm saying that in a way you do advocate because you've used your best judgment to come up with the best idea for it.
But we also put things on the ballot that we may not agree with. You don't know how we're going to vote on the ballot, but we know it's our responsibility to give the residents the opportunity to vote on something.
I want to clarify this situation. We cannot expend public funds to advocate for or against. Now, if you want to corner me at Kroger's, Brian, what do you think about A, B, and C? I will reach into my knowledge depository, and here's why I feel it's important, blah, 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 these number of dollars, this is the results. Here's why I think we should let this one go. And I will give you my personal opinion, but I can't expend public dollars. And same for every board member. You should be able to ask us. We represent you. You need to be able to ask us how we feel on an issue. Yep. We're the ones that should have the corporate knowledge. But again, we can't expend public dollars to get our positions out.
My point is not related to expending monies to promote a position. I think he made that clear, and I accept that. My mind wasn't focused on that. I heard some comments about the definition of who assumes responsibility for what. I'm saying that if you propose a bond for some purpose or a renewal of a millage, you have had to think that there's a purpose for this. We've looked at a variety of alternatives, and this is the best one. This is the one we're making a motion on. I don't want to see anybody step away from that on this board. That's basically where I'm at. And I didn't understand all of that in the terms that I'm communicating now. Maybe that's what you meant. I'm not here to pick a fight. But I wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Call me anytime, Bill. Thanks. Other public comment? Mr. Zalasko.
Bob Zalasko, Blauvelt. Brian, I know this is for comment, but I have a question regarding something we talked about in past meetings. Should we still anticipate receiving that report from Wayne County on the analysis and the future plan for the bridge on the 26th of this month?
I asked today about it, where it is. Again, I don't have any control. He says he's from Bernard Parker. They're working with contractors. They're putting it together, but he didn't give me it. It's in work. We will see it. We will see it.
Okay, so the 26th may have fallen by the wayside. The reason I ask is because of all the stuff that was kind of dumped on you today. I mean, these last-minute changes, one has to ask, where is this analysis and future plan? We on Grosse Ile have to know how we're going to get on and off this island.
And again, it's just all of a sudden, where did that come from?
If they give you another date, would you let us know what it is?
I will do it. Yeah, we're all in this together. So what I learned, I will. But first, I'm going to try to confirm from a couple of sources this is exactly what we're doing, because we've had things change almost before I've hung up the phone, different information. I wait to get what I think is the best final tidbit and then get that to you. I know I've had Dale running all over, and Margie was calling people up and down the street, but we tried to get the latest, best information out. And then at 6:31 this evening, I got different information out. So,
yeah, it's
never a dull moment.
If we can try and stay with them at least, because like even Joe, I mean, he has to time all these lights. We're going to have a lot of congestion. We know that, and with the additional detours and whatever, it's going to be tough. So, if they come up with something else, would you let us know? Because I think a lot of people are looking forward to that analysis and future plan, so we can figure out what we got as far as getting on and off the island here.
You'll know it when I know it, but again, I'll try to sort out what, get the final version, not the ever-changing news.
I think at this point, we'd take whatever we could get.
You'll know when I know. Thank you, Mr. Zalasko. Other comments from the public present? Thank everyone for coming tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Bletcher. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Offered. We'll call it adjourned at 6 minutes past. Thanks, everyone.